Inside of this wooden box is a pair of all K-leather made in Italy football boots designed in America that are for the football purists and, according to Lanzera, the weekend warriors, the Sunday league warriors, and those who just want the essence of football. I'm very excited about these, and I'm interested to see what they are like performance-wise on pitch with the touch on the ball, given that they're such a classic design. Let's jump into it. So Lanzera sent these out to me, so thank you very much to the brand. This is the most unique unboxing experience I think I've ever had. This is a literal wooden box. It's like plywood, and it opens up like this. So there's a piece of wood, and these are going to be a nightmare to try and get in and out of the box. So I'll just take them out once. This is the Lanzera. So this says, with the little shipping as well, dear valued customer, thank you for choosing Lanzera for your sportswear and footwear needs. We are thrilled to have you as part of the community of athletes and enthusiasts. Your order means a lot to us. We are committed to ensuring that you receive top-notch products and exceptional service, whether you're gearing up for a match or training session. We're here to support you every step of the way. And then thank you for being a part. Feel free to reach out to us, Lanzera team, before you wear your new gear. Very, very cool. So a little bit of a personalized note there. And then they do come with a string bag, which is pretty sweet. The Italian kind of tricolore there with the Lanzera Professionale signature collection. Very, very nice. It's cool to see some of the classic football boots. And here we go. Ooh, very nice. Wow. Look at those. Holy cow. That is premium. Very, very nice leather there. Pretty sweet, to be honest. Wow, these are kind of cool. Very much made in Italy K-leather. So this is very different from made in Japan K-leather. Obviously, kangaroos all come from Australia, but the treatment of the K-leather is quite different depending on where it's made and where it's produced and treated. This is in line with a lot of the Uno Zero products, a lot of the Diadora products. It feels a little bit more like calfskin straight out of the box, but they do soften up incredibly well, and then they hold their structure. And made in Italy boots, especially K-leather ones, tend to last a literal lifetime. So I'm imagining that these are going to be very similar. Really nice touches here with the signature there, with the signature collection established in '92 with the made in Italy and the Lanzera. So a very cool, very classic football boot, no doubt. It's not my usual go-to for a game style boot, but actually on their website, they actually introduced this and their products as more of a lifestyle enthusiast brand that is literally just meant to bring wearers of their boots back into the heritage of football and just the purity of playing in a classic leather pair of football boots, which I think is really cool. And I think having a brand that just comes out, especially one that has the more basic design characteristics like this one does, and not sort of going on and on about how, oh, they're performance-based products and they're going to make you play better and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, these guys are literally just trying to make the most comfortable and durable and just enjoyable products on the market. And I think that's really valiant, number one, but I also think it speaks to a part of the market that doesn't really exist anymore. And I think that's really cool. So here we go. So in terms of the tech specs, which there are very, very little of, this actually is a water repellent full grain premium kangaroo leather upper. It is lined with Cambrelle. So Cambrelle is actually essentially the world's leading footwear lining. It's like comfort, abrasion resistance. It's the very common interior lining that feels a little bit slippery to the touch. And it's basically from Camtex, I believe it's called, Camtex Fabrics, and it's a really nice liner. It's a little bit slippery on the inside, so hopefully a pair of grip socks from WeFoot will sort that out pretty quickly. The cool thing is they've added suede to the heel liner, so although there is an internal heel counter that goes about up to there on the inside, so as you can see, there we go, that's where that internal heel counter is. This has a very similar suede to the Uno Zero Avento, which just recently released, and so it's this micro suede material that hopefully will give you a nice amount of lockdown. And then they've also gone with an extra lace hole there. So I'm assuming these are actually going to fit really, really comfortably straight out of the box. We'll see if the performance of this type of football boot is going to, be anything special. You have a suede lined, oop, there's a little bit of wood stuff in there. You have a suede lined insole. It's pretty stiff, if I'm honest. It's not very cushiony. But again, I don't think these are meant to be the most performance-oriented boot. I really do think they're marketing this as something that's just purely enjoyable to play in, and very much a football boot enthusiast, or a football enthusiast type of boot with the Lanzera logo there. It is pretty dense, if I'm honest. That's a pretty big piece of plastic to put right in that pass area, so I do wonder if that's either for lockdown purposes or whether this will affect the way that the boot breaks in. I'm actually quite excited to try these on as well, so you've got quite a few different things going on here. This logo is actually meant as sort of this rear foot strap element, support strap, so it goes all the way through the back here and around, so it sort of holds the heel into place, I guess is the idea. But overall, very, very simple design. The fold over tongue is really nice, and then you have the dual density EVA outsole as well, so that's really nice, and some rivets on the forefoot and the rear with a standard conical stud pattern. Noticeably, these are a lot thicker than the ones in the forefoot, so that's something to be mindful of once we get out on pitch. But overall, Lanzera Professionale or Professionale is it's a very classic looking football boot. It's maybe not my favorite in terms of how it looks. I do think it looks very pretty, but is it my favorite in terms of looks? Would I rather take a Morelia 2 style silo with the fold over tongue? Yes, but this is a very different kind of football boot, and I actually think that something like this for a player that wants something that's going to last forever, but it's made in America, or it's made in Italy, but it's designed in America, it's an American brand, this could be something very, very cool to wear. So without further ado, let's go test these out on pitch, see how they perform, and of course, what the comfort is like once you've broken it in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, out on the pitch with the Lanzera Professionale. I am not nervous about these, but I don't tend to be overly enthusiastic about super, super classic fitting boots like this, unless they're Mizunos. However, this definitely, with the way that these are constructed with the suede heel liner and some of these other things that feel very kind of Uno Zero like, this might actually be a very, very enjoyable review for me, just from a kind of a classy sensation. So let's get these on feet. Ooh, those are tight. Okay. But very, very comfortable. Very nice. They've done a great job with the shape and the overall comfort of these. As with most made in Italy K leather football boots, most of them, first of all, don't have a runner's knot, which these ones do, which is excellent. Lanzera, fantastic work. And the other thing is most of them kind of screw up a little bit on the sizing, Diadora included. The reason for that is because Diadora and Uno Zero and some of these other brands who make their products in Italy, the made in Italy K-leather products often have a very distinct feel. Like the K-leather is a little bit stiffer, it's a little bit more robust. I'm not sure if it's like the specific manufacturer or distributor that they use here in Australia, or if all of the made in Italy leather is brought in from one company and it's treated by one company. That is all to say that these boots feel incredibly similar out of the box in terms of the sensation of the leather on feet, compared to boots like the Diadora Brazil Elite Veloce upper, the Uno Zero boot. This has got a very similar upper feel to the Uno Zero Evento. And so my hope is that because they actually fit size-wise perfectly, my toe comes right up to the end here, that the way that these break in, which made in Italy leather products actually break in really, really well over time, that's part of their that's part of the heritage and also part of the allure of them, because they just become so custom and comfortable, that these are a very comfortable boot, but they're just very, very snug out of the box. So I'm hoping by the end of this session, they'll be pretty broken in, and we'll go from there. So no grip elements obviously on the upper, so it's a very slick playing experience, but as per most of the boots like this, they look amazing. I gotta be honest, I absolutely froth the way that they look. particularly the tongue, but they are quite tight. So let's try to break these in over the course of the session. The other thing with these is they feel kind of interesting in the sole plate because of it almost feels like they've got a heel lift to them. I'm pretty sure they don't, but it does kind of feel that way a little bit. And so I'm interested to see how they go after I've broken the boots in, just to see if, hey, you know, now that the boots are broken in and it's a super comfortable fit and feel all around, that there isn't anything weird going on. But as far as touch on the ball, it's everything you'd expect from a premium made in Italy K-leather football boot. It's incredibly comfortable. They've got actually a really decent amount of lockdown because of that suede liner in the heel area. These fit so remarkably similar in a lot of ways to the Avento. These just have a little bit more of that like classic made in Italy leather type football boot look. All right, little warm up for the adductors here. Just getting a little bit of a bounce pass and then try to get around the cones and then into the corner. Yeah, nice. Look, I think I am not coming at this video in terms of the playtest with trying to evaluate these in the modern boot market. Like I mentioned in the unboxing portion of the video, Lanzera seems to be very, very comfortable with simply marketing these for those kind of weekend warrior types and the guys who just want that classic, beautiful, comfortable leather football boot experience. And so I'm gonna start in this video by saying that this boot absolutely delivers. It is super comfortable. It's very tight out of the box, but I think that's definitely the way you should go because they're gonna break in to be perfect for your foot as opposed to being all wacky with sizing after you've broken the boot in and then you have to get a new pair and it's all that BS. But in terms of like the advertising for this boot, these over deliver for what they're advertised for. All right, a couple Ronaldinho drill here. Get around. Yes. Nice. Oh, see, that's why I love these leather football boots. I feel the same way about the Diodors as well, the Maximus most particularly, because the way that this leather feels when you strike the ball is just, oh, it's so clean. It's like just this, it's got this like pop to it, which I really love. And that's why this kind of boot is just enjoyable to wear. So here we go. Oh, that was so bad. We're gonna do one more. I wanna get a good one into that corner. So now in terms of how these fit, my toes are pretty scrunched, but as I said before, I do think that you're gonna find the sizing to fit perfectly once these are actually properly broken in. I haven't worn these more than just this session, but because the Lanzera boots have the Avento has an incredibly similar feel to this, I'm gonna give this one like a 3 to 4 hours of really, really good playtime before you, oh no, before you are gonna be feeling completely broken in with this stuff. So, which is totally fine for a classic leather boot like this because they're gonna last you forever and every time you slip your foot in after that is gonna be absolutely wonderful. One thing that I think is important to understand about these, because I'll probably just do free kicks after this, is that this play test, you're probably wondering, dude, it's not going very long. Well, yeah, because this boot just does what it needs to do. It is very, very, very comfortable. And it's got this great kind of like midfield maestro feel to it. The heel lockdown is a little low volume, but it is effective. And that was sort of the same thing that I found with the Avento, was that maybe could they extend the heel maybe a little bit higher? On these ones, I don't think so. On the Avento, perhaps. That was actually part of our prototype testing feedback. But, oh, wow. See you later. I scored in that goal, though. That's important. Let's get one more going. But I think from, you know, a leather boot feel, this is exactly what you want. And if you want an American brand, then this would be the one to go for. They're made in Italy, obviously, just like the Lanzera products are. Now, this competes also with things like the Morelia 2 and the Lanzera, whatever they're, Modello 1.0, and the Diodora Brazil
Elite or Brazil, yeah, Brazil Elite. And so, you know, these are up there, I think, most notably because of the suede heel liner and the way that the sole plate just kind of, it just functions well. Right, last little bit, a couple free kicks. Gonna get these into the top bins. I do think that this boot performs already really well without the lace, without the extra lace hole, but I'm so happy that they actually included it because it is something that every brand just needs to do. It's such a small thing, like it literally takes no extra effort. It's probably a fraction of a second on the assembly line, or if you're hand making them, it's like 1/1000, 2/1000, and then that's it. But man, it makes a difference. And this boot definitely has what it takes, I think, to be in the top 1 or 2 boots in this sort of classic category. I think they're, you know, the Brazil's obviously a tried and true. Morelia 2 forever will always be the GOAT unless people can come up with something that light, that soft and comfortable straight out of the box. So Morelia 2 is like in a class of its own, but in terms of everything else, this is really, really good. I wasn't really sure. Obviously I'd heard of Lanzera before, but this is a boot that has honestly surprised me in how just they're comfortable. They're super robust feeling, like they feel so durable. And that's something that shouldn't be taken for granted, especially in today's day and age where it's like 1 season, see you later. All right, guys, finishing up the review here now on the Lanzera Professionale, however you want to say it. I am maybe not surprised because I feel like a lot of smaller brands are now coming out of the woodworks with really, really good quality products and trying to capitalize on the other big brands in the world going away from K-leather. But I think that this segment of the market is really tough to break into because you have, you know, players who wear the Morelia 2, and you have players who wear Uno Zero products, and you have players who wear Pantofolo d'Oro products. But I gotta be honest with you, the sole plate is actually totally fine. It's very basic. There's not a lot of stability here, but it doesn't really matter because the upper is very, very robust, and it's got, you know, this leather is just gonna hold you in. This reminds me of like OG Diadora, like when Diadora was at its absolute peak and pinnacle. But now they've added the suede heel liner, they have the internal heel counter, it's got, you know, a nice amount of lateral stability with their logoing here in the rubber, this like rubberized element to it. The fold over tongue is actually really well constructed so that it's not like flopping back and forth, it just stays down like that, despite not having any sort of Velcro. Look, I honestly am not usually a fan of this type of football boot, but I really enjoyed playing in that today. Although performance-wise, obviously, I'm just not was not a perfect session in terms of like actual execution, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like these are just enjoyable to play in, and it's refreshing to have a brand just come out and say, hey, we're creating a boot that's not meant to be super high performance in terms of like we're trying to market to the pros. No, this is for guys who just simply want, guys and gals who just simply want something classic, they want something comfortable, and they want something that clearly feels like it's gonna last, you know, a decade worth of playing in on artificial ground or firm ground. So I think this is a really good product. All the little details that they've added to this, it's very clear that they've really thought about this football boot in the way that, you know, this is the first Lanzera product I've ever reviewed, and no word of a lie, these are really, really fun to play in, and I will definitely be slipping back into these from time to time just to enjoy and go out and play a pickup game or something if I want to show up looking like, you know, a coach or like an old English coach or an old Italian coach. Like these are very fun to play in. And the cool thing about this leather upper is that they're just gonna get more comfortable every time I wear them. And that's the magic of a pair like this. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, be awesome, take care. See y'all in the next video.